But first, we're going to begin with heavy rain causing flooding in the Dallas area. Some homes are damaged and fences are knocked over.
And the same system is causing downpours in our area as well. Brooks is tracking the weather. And of course, Brooks, we're all wondering what's in store for us this evening.
Right. So the good news is this. The flood watches have been canceled, but we are still dealing with very heavy rain. And that rain is going to make for a really wet commute for us. The red box you see over my shoulder in Louisiana is a tornado watch. No threat here, but I do want to show you what's happening. We've got storms that are raining over the same areas over and over. Now, we've seen a lot worse with this, obviously, in recent history, but what this will still do is produce puddling in some of the notorious spots that seem to always flood. We're getting it right now, Brazos-Bend State Park. Damon, moving up into the Southwest Loop, the 288 corridor, but specifically in east sections of downtown and also southeast Houston along the 610 loop down through the Gulf Freeway and even Main Street, Pearland up through 35 Telephone Road. It is downpouring, and that is going to cause some problems on some of the feeder roads. There could even be some high water in some of the travel lanes here and there if this does keep up. So heads up there. Your commute on the southeast side heading down to Friendswood is going to be a little rough this afternoon, while if you head north and west, it'll be considerably better with those rain showers there dissipating. The rain continues up 59, the East X Freeway through Cleveland, Shepherd, Goodrich. Heavy rains of 1 to 2 inches an hour. Those are the rainfall rates falling. Could see some gusty winds as well. And again, the warnings, the watches have all been east of us. This is a flash flood warning located in the Beaumont area. So what we're dealing with is heavy rain. The rain ending later on tonight, at least the really heavy stuff, but it will continue in the form of showers tomorrow. Pockets of heavy rain for the commute. The bayous, though, thankfully staying within their banks, and the flood watches have been dropped. Coming up, we'll talk about the weekend forecast. A lot going on with the rodeo.
All right, thank you, Brooks. And of course, you can stay on top of this weather with the KHOU 11 mobile app. You can watch the radar, weather cams, and even track the latest forecast.
Other top story today is the aftermath of the Florida school shooting. Students
from Florida to Washington, D.C. walked out of their schools this morning in protest of gun laws. And 1 week after the horrific shooting at their school, students from Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School rallied at the state's capitol. They were begging lawmakers to change current gun laws to help prevent another mass shooting. 17 people died last week at that school.
I sat hiding in a closet, fearing for my life, for my future, when all of us are that future. If we are going to protect our future, why are we not protecting our children?
Among the changes these students want to see, stricter background checks and raising the age to purchase an assault rifle. The students from Stoneman Douglas are expected to meet with Florida Governor Rick Scott later on this evening. And President Trump just heard from students from Stoneman Douglas High School in a listening session. Survivors from Sandy Hook and Columbine were also there to talk with the president about gun control. Coming up at 4:30, we're going to have much more on this meeting and reaction to what happened. And students planning walkouts across the country in solidarity with Florida students, but some school districts here are cracking down. Yeah, Needville ISD posted on Facebook that if students participate, they will be suspended. Jessica Borg is live near Needville High School with mixed reactions from the community on social media.
This is no doubt an emotional and sensitive issue and a divisive one. Some say schools are not the right place for political activism. Others say students should have the right to walk out in the wake of a national debate about school safety and gun control. Horrified by last week's school massacre in Florida, students around the country are organizing on social media, planning major national rallies and school walkouts next month. The goal, to get the attention of adults who they believe are failing to protect them.
It's emotional right now, and scary.
Marla Geese's daughter is a junior at Needville High School. Today, extra school and county police were on standby because students here plan their own walkout today at noon, advocating for gun control. But as you can see, all was quiet. This mom is pleased by that.
No, not during school hours, no.
The students staying put, just what Needville school superintendent had told students to do. In a Facebook post, Superintendent Curtis Rhodes warned that a disruption of the school will not be tolerated, that if students walk out during school hours, they will be suspended for 3 days and face all the consequences that come along with an out-of-school suspension. Parent notes will not alleviate the discipline. That post garnering thousands of comments from those who disagree with that position. One person writing, "How shameful and disappointing, threatening your students who want to stand with students all over the country on an issue they care about."
Because I believe that they do have the right to voice their opinions.
Eladio Herrera is a grandfather of 4. He wants lawmakers to listen to young people about issues surrounding school safety, but not during classroom time.
They're very smart people at their age, and I think that they could present their views in a way that people will stop and listen. But walking out is not the answer.
I just think if you're going to protest, not during school, because we're learning, we're here for an education. And
now, the National School Walkout is scheduled for March 14th. The March for Our Lives is a march slated for Washington on March 24th. Organizers say, though, protests will be planned around the country that day as well. We are live this afternoon in Needville, Fort Bend County. Standing for Houston, Jessica Borg, KHOU 11 News.
All right, Jessica, thank you.
And Spring ISD also warning students they could face punishment for walking out of class in protest. The district says they could face in-school suspensions, and this comes as Spring ISD police investigate a rumored threat to Spring High School this coming Friday. So what do you think? Should local schools suspend students for participating in a walkout? You can vote in our informal poll at khou.com/vote now. Another local child has died of a flu-related illness. The Houston Health Department says the boy was between the ages of 6 and 10. He died earlier this month, had pre-existing conditions that contributed to his death. Authorities haven't given any other details, but this does mark the 12th flu death in our area for this season. The fate of a convicted killer is in Governor Greg Abbott's hands. The state parole board recommending clemency for Bart Whitaker. Of course, he shot and killed his mother and brother in Sugar Land back in 2003. His father has requested to take him off death row after forgiving his son. The governor can either accept or reject the board's recommendation.
America's pastor, Reverend Billy Graham, has died at the age of 99. He is the most widely heard Christian evangelist in history. Graham had several connections here in Houston, including friendships with leading pastors like Joel Osteen. Jason Miles spoke with Osteen and others about what made Graham so special. Hi, Jason.
Hey there, Reka. Reverend Graham brought his famous crusades to Houston several times. Get this, an event back in the 60s, a 10-day crusade, drew something like 700,000 people to the then brand new Astrodome. And ministries like Lakewood Church here might not exist if not for Graham. Take a look at these photos Pastor Joel Osteen shared with us earlier this morning following news of Graham's death. He called Graham the most humble and gracious man he ever knew, next to his own father. Dr. Ed Young, meantime, over at Second Baptist Church, considered Graham a personal friend and a mentor. In Young's early days of preaching, he says he emulated Graham, who by then was world famous thanks to those televised crusades.
He was the son of a dairy farmer out from Charlotte, North Carolina. He never forgot his roots, and that humility carried him all the way through all the glamour and the questions and the controversy, and he never blinked. Well, they had about 300 or 400 showed up.
Dr. Young shared with me a story about one of Reverend Graham's appearances on The Tonight Show with Johnny Carson. He gave him a joke to tell. Young did, and Graham actually messed it up on air. Young says Graham was known to be kind of a flubber of good jokes, but he had a good sense of humor, and again, known for his humility. I'll have many more personal reflections from Young and Osteen coming up at 5 o'clock, and coincidentally, a ministry, a nonprofit run by Graham's son, Franklin Graham, happens to be here at Lakewood this weekend. More on that coming up as well. Back to you.
All right, we look forward to hearing from him. Thank you, Jason.